there's so much to talk about. But one very, very key person, maybe the key person, at least in the last 40 years of Tina's life, was of course Irvin, her husband, whom she married in 2013, and they met back in 85, I believe, and became a couple in 86, 87, 86, I think. And that was around that time when you met Irvin as well, and Tina fell in love. And then things changed, and eventually you broke your relationship and your friendship with Tina, which was a sad situation. But do talk about Irvin and your experiences, and how Tina felt falling in love like that.
Well, I already knew about Irwin, and I was so happy for Tina. And she found she I mean, she went on that she found the man of her dreams, and we were also happy for her. Roger wasn't happy, mind you. Um, Roger wasn't, again, happy any man, because it interferes with his position with Tina. He's the only man. Now there's a boyfriend or a man involved, so that, is going to interfere with him. But I was very happy for Tina, because there was something different about Irwin, and her attitude and the way she was, and her love situation. It was a different kind of love, a different kind of relationship. And what people don't know, that I have to stress, is that when Tina was in love with Irwin and she was staying at the St. James Club, and I was going to visit her and do whatever, she'd give me her American Express card. I went out and bought the Davidoff cigars. She didn't like Irwin's bathroom, the way his house was decorated. I went to the shop, decorating shops, bought all kind of new bath rails and this and towels and that and da da da. The kitchen, I went and got this. I did, not Tina, because Tina was busy working and she had so much on. But the closest person to her was me, and who else could do that and had the great taste like she has? She had a girl working for her at the time who was Australian named Jenny. And Jenny did her normal duties or whatever. Jenny was a funny one. She was she's another one. She was a frustrated lesbian or something. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't mean like, she was a lesbian and she just hadn't come out yet, so she was like flustered, and she always had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. But she had a very good eye for fashion, and she was Roger's spy and right-hand person. Roger hired her and found her from Australia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
She worked as Tina's personal assistant also for several years, right?
Yes, she did. Yes.
You were buying things for Irwin on Tina's
Oh yeah,
behalf.
I was doing all the shopping stuff for Irwin. We knew what Tina was very happy with Irwin, and all of that. Irwin, I have to say honestly, they threw Tina a birthday party, and it was an Egyptian themed birthday party thing, and it was see, these are little things that used to piss me off with Roger. Roger, of course I was invited, and I was invited to go with Tina, and then Judy Cheeks was in town, and then Roger had this thing where Judy and I couldn't come to the party alone. We had to come together, and we couldn't bring a guest, but everybody else could bring a guest. So I don't know, and I don't want to get into a kind of what I want to say, because I don't want people to alien. I think Roger, I don't know, it's hard to say. But we were the only two that couldn't bring a guest, but everybody else can bring a guest. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. Hello?
I don't know what to say to that. Well,
well,
I'm just listening.
That's my opinion. And so Judy and I were instructed that we had to go to, which was fine, go to the hotel, St. James Club, to meet Tina, and we would go in the car with Tina and Roger to the party. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I was always Tina's right-hand person, and I didn't have anybody I wanted to bring to the party that I felt that comfortable with or anything like that at all. But I didn't like the instruction that I couldn't have any guests or whatever. Da, 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 da. It was just a little it was very controlling. Okay. But anyway, we went to the party, met Irwin. After the party, we all came back to Tina's suite. Judy, Tina, and I are laughing. Erwin is sitting there like a lump on a log. And as you know, without me being horrible, Germans don't have the biggest sense of humor, and their sense of humor is a little bit different than ours. So Erwin kept getting a little bit agitated and uncomfortable. And Tina said, darling, what's wrong? What's wrong? He said, oh, I'm going to go now. You and your friend seems to be having a good time without me. So all of a sudden he was playing the whole big thing. That was the beginning of me seeing the control thing. And then Tina said to us, I'll never forget, Tina said, oh, come on, we have to include Erwin because he's starting to feel a bit funny. So then by that time, Judy and I were ready to go anyway, so we left them. Erwin has always, from the beginning, shown signs of control freak. And anyone that knows Erwin, that knows Tina's relationship, he has been, and he is controlling. Because what he does, he plays up to that whole big thing of, the Germans, we don't do like the Americans. And when people say things like that, they're trying to put you down underneath their kind of little superior thing. So that was one incident, let it go, whatever, move fast forward. Tina was in Switzerland. I was living in London at the time. And she said to me, Eddy, I have a great treat for you. And I said, oh my gosh, what? Like I said, Tina was never overly generous or anything like that, but she was, in her own kind of way, she's meant to be. So she said, well, I'm going to treat you. I'm going to have you come to Switzerland right after Christmas. As once in your life, you're going to come and be my guest. And I was like, oh, I was so excited. I was so ecstatic. I deserved it. I had worked for it. I was her best friend. I had traveled with her. I had made her wigs. I had been with her through thick and thin and whatever. And and also because I had Tina's career's big comeback came, Let's Stay Together, Private Dancer, whatever. At that time, I moved to London, so I was pursuing my own career. Tina was behind me. She was very supportive, and it was like the beginning of my career, and Tina's career was going full force, and it was my best friend I could be happy for and share, and she was happy for me. I was writing more songs. I was working with put my first band together, which was with Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was flying, and she was happy for me and all that. And then I got an opportunity to go to Switzerland. And I jumped on to go to Switzerland, and I got there, and it was just amazing. I had traveled the world several times with Tina and all that, but we had never been to Gstaad. Oh, Gstaad, darling, it's terribly Polish.
And this was way before Tina moved to Switzerland with Erwin. That was much later, right?
Oh, it is not even in the same
era.
Chapters. No, this was the beginning. Tina was still living in America. She was dating Erwin, and she hadn't moved to London yet. And this was her first big Christmas with her success. Oh, I tell you what it was. We had just finished recording the video to Break Every Rule. The video, the French, oh, Monsieur, como Tina Dana, Max Headroom.
Oh, right, at Camden Palace.
Yes. We had just
Wilson Pickett was there, right?
That's right. We had just finished that, and they were in the process of editing it, and we were getting all that together. So I was invited as a guest for the first time in my life, and the whole time I've ever known Tina, I had never been a guest. I was always working. So if it was such a privilege, and I went to Switzerland. It was like going to Disneyland. It was like a fairy tale. You couldn't believe it, all the chalets. I mean, I like Switzerland. I think it's beautiful. I wouldn't want to live there. I think it's what I didn't like, all the houses were exactly the same, the chalets. And it's beautiful. It's a great experience, but no, I wouldn't want to live there. And I wouldn't want to live in Switzerland. I think it's boring as shit. I do. I think it's very pretty, but I think it's boring. And I think it ages you, and I think it's a place you go when you're ready to die. But I went to Switzerland, and I got there, and it was beautiful when I first got there. I got my own room up in the back, and this and that, and then Tina had become a little bit of the queen, because it was like, oh, Tina will come and will send for you when she's ready for you. So I went to my room. I was like, okay. So she finally sent for me, and I went down. But then the minute I walked in, and she was being a bit grand. I mean, she was so happy, and she had deserved it, and she worked for it, and she deserved it. And immediately we were like two school kids jumping on the bed, drinking Cristal champagne and having such a good time. I mean, honestly. And then, of course, the door opens and Erwin walks in, and all of a sudden, but it's Tina's fault. Now that I look back on a lot of it, it's Tina's fault, because Erwin was so serious, and he's so German, and he didn't have the same sense of humor. So when Erwin came around, she felt like we had to stop being silly. And I think that's a big mistake that Tina did, because he should be able to accept her for who she is. But she was so busy trying to impress him, and she wanted a boyfriend so desperately, and this and that, and da 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 da. And of course, he came in and broke the party up a bit, and all that kind of stuff. And so that was the beginning. And then I was there on the trip, and Tina's ex-boyfriend, Chris Contos, had come with his pregnant girlfriend. There, and Tina's always been good, always good vibes with her exes and all that stuff, and Erwin seemed to be fine with it. But he became a little bit like Gestapo. He was a control freak. Everything had to be his way, the way he went. I mean, I was wearing, Tina gave me years ago, Opium by Yves Saint Laurent, the original cologne, wasn't cologne, parfum, or the toiletry. And I always wore that and I wear it to my dying day. And I took a shower. We got ready. He broke the party up earlier. Then we were taking a break. Then we were coming down for dinner, and I sprayed myself and got myself all gorgeous for dinner and all that stuff. And I came down, and see, and the me today would not jump to the bait. Then I fell for the bait. He said to me, "Oh my gosh, what's that smell? It smells like a brothel or something." It was aimed at me. So I said, oh gosh, what did I say? How did I respond to him? I gotta remember. I think I started laughing or something or whatever. So I picked up a magazine, and Erwin was cooking dinner that night, and we were drinking champagne. But see how it started, the beginning of it started, which I make it very clear in my book, was that I went to Tina's room, and she was on the phone to Ma, and Ma said, "Oh, I'm so happy for Tina," and this and that, and da 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 da. And we were all talking and being giggly. And Tina said, "Oh, Eddie, go get me some more champagne." So I ran out to go get some champagne, and we had Cristal everywhere. That's all we drank. And Erwin said to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, Tina wants some champagne, so I'm getting some champagne for Tina." And he says, "No, it's not cold enough. Why do you spoil a good bottle?" Very German, very controlled. And I said, "Well, it's cold enough to me," because it had been sitting on the balcony. We put it in the snow. And he grabbed the bottle from me. He says, No, it's not ready yet." So I went, okay. So I went back in Tina's room, and I went back in and we were laughing. She says, "Where's my champagne?" So I said, of course, I had to add my little 2 cents in there. And I said, "Oh, Erwin said it's not cold enough yet." And she says, "Well, is it on the balcony?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "But Erwin says it's not cold enough, and we shouldn't ruin a good bottle." And she says, "Eddie, go out there and get my champagne for me." I mean, she went, excuse the expression, she went a bit hood. It's like, go get my champagne. And so I did. So when I went back out there, I grabbed the bottle of the champagne, and I did the thing, because I know how to open champagne and all that. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Tina says she wants champagne, and she doesn't care if it's cold enough." Okay. So he looked at me and he glared at me. So I took the opportunity. And this is a lot of the youth side of me too. I have to admit, I was a little bit kind of pushed it a bit. I was no angel. And so I just kind of opened the champagne very slowly, like you do. And I got the glass and the little napkin and da-da-da-da. Poured Tina a glass, poured me a glass, and I went off to the room. Well, he was fuming. So this kind of kicked over to, and then there's one little incident earlier. No, yeah. So there was one incident earlier when I was upstairs reading a magazine, and for some reason we had hired help. We had the chef there and whatever. We had the chef there. He was supposed to be cooking, but Erwin wanted to cook, and da 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 da. So then they sent the people home, the housekeepers, and then I was reading a magazine. And Erwin came over to me and says, and this is what got my goat. He says, "You sit there, you read a magazine. We're trying to get dinner together, and you sit and drink a glass of champagne like you Queen of Sheba or something." I said, "I'm a guest." And he said, "Yeah, but we need help." And I just went, basically, I just basically told him to fuck off. That's basically what I did in a nice way. And that didn't set well with him. So that was kind of like the beginning of, first it was the champagne, then it was, and first it was the perfume, then the champagne, and then it was like me reading a magazine before dinner. And what really pissed me off, it was the first time ever that Tina had treated me and I was going to be a guest. And here, this new boyfriend thought he was going to treat me like a fucking servant. Now, I don't have a problem being a servant because I've been a servant all my goddamn life, but not his servant. Okay? Let's not get it twisted. I don't hardly know you, and you're barking orders, and you've only been 5 minutes being Mr. Tina Turner. Let's not go there. So then it went into the dinner. I sat next to Tina. Erwin was next to Tina on the other side. Then we had the other guests there and this and that, da 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 da. We were all, so we had no help. So we were all helping ourselves and being very comfortable and relaxed. Right behind me on the backette was a little table, and it had all the drinks on it. And Tina and I were laughing, and we were touching each other and giggling and being school kids and all that kind of stuff like we always were. And I just happened to reach over to fill my glass up with some champagne, and he went mental. And that's where it started. That's where it started. But you got to remember something. It wasn't just that. That was his excuse. It had all built up. He had had enough of me. And then what I didn't go into detail about was that a day before, Tina and I were up in the loft and we were having a girl talk like we always do, and gossiping and laughing and giggling and being silly. And he had been upstairs listening to our conversation for a while before he made his appearance. And we both jumped like, "Oh my gosh, where'd you come from?" That's the kind of person Erwin was. That's the kind of person Erwin was. Erwin was very controlling. So Tina goes from Ike Turner to Roger Davies, who was controlling, but good controlling. Let me make it very clear. Roger Davies was a fabulous manager. He just started losing touch. And then after he started losing touch, and Tina was so big, he didn't really want Tina to really grasp the black artists in her. He was trying to keep her away from that. You could tell with the songs. I mean, one thing that always killed me is Let's Stay Together. And this is something that a lot of people complained about. When they did that documentary, the last documentary that Tina did, they didn't mention Heaven 17 at all. They barely mentioned Heaven 17. They didn't have anything about Heaven 17. It was all about Terry Britton.
I think they did mention Heaven 17 in that.
Yeah, but they didn't do a big thing on Heaven 17. They started Tina's career.
Sure, they did.
I mean, and it was very matter of fact, is what I'm trying to say.
When you're telling all of these stories about what happened when you met Erwin and Tina and all of that at the end there, don't you think it was just he was in love, or he was with Tina? It was a new relationship, and you were this close, and Tina was a huge personality, and you are obviously, clear to everybody, a huge personality, and both of you were probably quite temperamental, and you were having all this fun and all of that. Maybe he felt he couldn't fit in there, and this was his new girlfriend.
Yes, but what you do when you're new to the crew, you cruise your way in. You can't all of a sudden, just because you're dating this woman and she's in love with you, you can't compete with a 30-year friendship. I had known Tina ever since I've been like, what, 12 goddamn years old. You know, give me some respect. I mean, at the end of the day, and I was her best worker, her personal assistant, wardrobe. All of a sudden, you're going to walk in and start barking orders? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And to answer your question, he had no right. If Tina had to come to me and said, "Oh, Eddie, you know, well, maybe we should like," and which she did do, but for him to come to me and start barking orders and telling me no, and for the record, no. Again, for the record, fuck no. He had no right to interfere with my friendship with my best friend. He had no right. Rhonda tried to do it. Roger tried to do it, and they didn't. They knew their limits and left us alone. He comes in, and he did. He destroyed my friendship with Tina. I think he's a horrible man. Look how much he's aged. Look at the way he has been. Look at the way they've handled everything. And I don't think, just to finish it off, because I'm really getting upset, I don't think he's all he's cracked up to be. It's awfully funny how, you know, we get no closure with our queen. You know, she was sick. She died. She was cremated immediately. No ashes, no pictures, no rose, no nothing, no nothing, no nothing. All of everything is over, and she married him in her husband's name. Her 2 sons are dead. The family have probably been offered X amount of money, and if you tried to talk to the press or talk to anybody or do anything, it would be revoked. They would never get a lump sum of money. It would be every month or whatever. I think he's a horrible man. And all that kidney stuff is like, oh, excuse me, one fucking kidney. Hello? And everybody has said the same thing, and I will swear to it. And I will say it, and I say this from my heart. Look at all the pictures with Tina. Look at the last pictures of Tina when he was taking her to New York and he was holding her. It's like and you look at the old pictures of them together coming to the airports and doing this. It's always like Erwin can't be bothered. He wants everybody out of the way. He never has a happy look. He never has any, even when they were going to the Armani shows, Tina's waving to everybody and da-da-da, and he's like very impatient.
I loved it. I want all the dresses.
She doesn't have another thing too, make it very clear. Have you noticed any pictures of Tina in the last 20 years, 15 years, 10 years that she was with her other friends really? Or she mingled with? Never. It was always Erwin. Erwin was always in control.
Well, there were pictures of her sons when they were still alive. This is horrible and strange that they both died just a few. I mean, Ronnie died 6 months before Tina died, and Craig, of course, died in 2018 when she was really sick and had just gotten the kidney from Irvin. But there were pictures of those two and Ronnie's wife, Afida Turner.
I won't talk about her. Yeah. I don't want to mention that woman's name. I think that she's actually a joke. I think that she is absolutely a gold digger. And I hope that Tina made it ironclad that she gets nothing. She's a disgrace. She's a disgrace. And Ronnie, no, to go back to your theory, no, I don't think it's that I have to close down. I don't think that it was weird. I just think that Ronnie had been ill for quite a few years, you know. I don't know if you know that, before he died. quite a
Right.
few
He
years.
had
But,
colon cancer, right?
yeah, I think Ronnie had been ill about maybe 4 years before he died. I mean, it wasn't in the press and all that kind of stuff. But she did an article in a paper once and said that Tina wasn't giving her enough aid financially because Ronnie wasn't doing well and all that kind of stuff. Craig, I do have to say, honestly, Craig was always a lost soul. He was always a very unhappy boy. I went to Craig's graduation with Tina when he graduated from the Navy. We didn't have cameras and all that kind of stuff back then like we do today. But it was just Tina and I. Go figure. And I hope that it answers a lot of people's questions, how close we were. It was the real T and me.
And very emotional also for you. I mean, nobody would be this emotional and this, let's say, I guess truthful is one word, and another word is happy, and another word is that you get angry or upset.
Well, I get upset with, I do get upset. I get upset with a lot of things. I get upset with bullshit. I get upset with people's perception of what they think they know and they don't know. And there's one good thing I don't have to do. I live the life. I don't have to make it up. I lived it. And for those of you who think like, oh, no, let me tell you something. If I wanted to, and I had that kind of energy, that crap in my body, I'd be a different kind of person. I only believe in love, harmony. I believe in people coming together, and I believe in peace. I have done everything that I have in my life. I have worked my ass off for. No one's given me anything. And again, I repeat, when I worked with Tina, she was a lovely woman. I love her dearly. Tina wasn't a generous woman. I had to work for everything that I got. And she could be generous at times and whatever. I think that came more after I left, of course, because and it wasn't just Tina having the money. I mean, but she didn't, the only person that had Tina was Erwin. And Tina's gone. Erwin's here. They've sold all of her music off, all her catalog. There's no control over anything or everything and da. She married. Let me just make one thing clear for a lot of you too, out there who don't know about certain things. Tina married Erwin so that everything could go smooth for Erwin after she passed. Also in the Swiss law, Tina Turner's a star. She could live there. She got her citizenship. She had to marry Erwin so that after she passed, Erwin could now live there with no problems at all. If they hadn't got married, Erwin wouldn't have those same rights. So do your homework and know what you're talking about before you start talking to somebody who knows. That's my attitude. There's a lot of things that, yes, I'm a little bit annoyed about a lot of things. And I wish, and I will say this, and I hope that they're listening. These tribute acts and these, what is the thing that they give you when you die? What do you a tribute?
What if I can't see the words? I don't know. I'm trying, y'all. It can go wrong. I'm trying, y'all. Come on.
Yeah, I wish that they would just, especially the bloody Americans, stop. You Tina Turner, along with Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, Blackwise, changed the world, made such an incredible mark for all of us. And you don't give it up to them respectfully enough. And what Patti LaBelle did with that tribute thing, I think it was just absolutely, there's no words for it. And I don't really think that maybe that was not done on purpose. Because Patti LaBelle and people like that have always had a thing about Tina. They've always been very zealous. I know that for a fact. I'm saying it. I know it for a fact. I actually worked with Patti LaBelle, and I made wigs for Patti. And Patti's the one that, not Tina, just to get it straight to all you haters. I know I keep saying that. But it was Patti LaBelle that told me the story about Tina said, "Oh, Patty, you're moist." And I'm the one that exposed the story. It was me. And now Patty picks up on it and said, "Oh, and there's something I saw on her recently." And she said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to mention her, but that heifer wouldn't hug me because I was wet and da-da-da-da." And of course, you had already told the story before, but you forgot you told it. And it's already been out there. It was Tina that you're talking about. Why would you call Tina a heifer? How disgraceful.
Why do you think she did that? I mean, if she did, if it was Tina she was talking about, though.
It was Tina. They were jealous. A lot of them were.
So it's simply jealousy?
Yeah, jealousy. It always has been. You going back, you asked me something off camera the other day about Ike and Tina. Was a lot of Black people upset that Tina's success, her audience was basically all white. You know something? It's very clear. Listen, Ike and Tina come from the Black chitlin circuit, doing clubs and all that stuff, and they graduated up. When Ike and Tina got River Deep Mountain High with Phil Spector, who was white, and it was released, it took Ike and Tina into a whole new thing. Even back in the days when Ike and Tina were doing chitlin circuits, they would still go do the white clubs. Ike and Tina have always had a bigger white audience than they have a Black audience.
So did Tina also as a solo act?
No, she had even bigger.
It was both. It was everybody, wasn't it?
Well, it was, and but I mean, listen, I'll be frank with you. Everybody goes on about. See, I'm not a Beyonce fan at all. I'm the wrong person to even bring her name up. That performance she did with Tina when she stepped on Tina's foot, I didn't like it. I don't get her. Now see, she's one I don't get. And the songs, what songs? Where's the commerciality? Where's the hit? It's all propaganda. It's all the whatever it is. I'm not going to give her any of my airtime.
I don't know why people talk about Tina when they talk about Beyonce. I just simply don't get it. I know she's a big fan of Tina, or what she is.
Well, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something, honestly?
Yeah,
what a lot of people fail to forget.
You are telling me more than something.
Well, do you know what? A lot of people don't fail to remember. Beyonce is a fan of anybody who's in the news at the time. At first, it started off with be Diana Ross. Patti LaBelle. Then it was Diana Ross. Then it was da-da-da-da, and then it was Tina. And now it's back to Diana, and it's back to da-da-da. Etta James, whatever. She needs to find out who she is. Okay?
Yeah, there's something not that authentic about her, but then again, there's something very authentic about Cher, for example, and Ann-Margret, who were great friends of Tina.
They were great friends. And do you know the thing was, they were great friends, but they weren't up in each other's business. They were like, Ann-Margret was so lovely. But you know the thing is, the people don't remember that Ann-Margret was one of Tina's biggest fans. And she was responsible for, after they did Tommy, to say, let's do a special together. And that gave Ike and Tina a wider audience. When the hit records dried up. See, the one thing about Ike and Tina is that when the hit records dried up, they could always work on telly. And that was also good exposure for them. They did really well. Ike fucked up his career. He fucked up his life because of, drugs and alcohol. But as a talent, he was an incredible, talented man. But funny enough, his talent has never, ever shone more or bigger than it ever did with Tina.
No, definitely not.
Never.
And he was unfortunately, instead of reinventing himself, he was unfortunately trying to get all of these new wives or new singers to do what Tina had done, or previous Ikettes were taking the center stage. And it was the same old show and the same music. I think it's only in the last year or two that he lived that he did this blues album, and he got the Grammy, and actually that was maybe a very good closure for Ike, because Lord knows he will be remembered in history for his abuse, and that's the sad thing because he was a great talent.
No, he was a great talent. And you know something else too, which is the real truth, the gospel truth from Tina. Tina never wanted that abuse to come out to destroy Ike. She brought it, it was just a matter of fact coming out, because here's a woman who's so strong and so beautiful, and nobody knew all those years how abused she was except the inner circle. And when people found out, and then especially they found out, and here she is making the biggest comeback in history, looking more youthful than she ever looked. Tina never looked that young when she was young. It was remarkable, and for me to be able to share this time with you, and thank you for giving me a platform to share my story. I want everyone to know that Tina has no bigger fan than me. I started up the biggest fan, and I will until I leave this earth. I'm still the biggest fan. I love Tina Turner, what she has offered and given to us, the world. Nobody comes near. And
I am also a big fan, I have to say, one of her biggest fans, and I think a lot of people will say that.
No, I did include you in that part, saying that we all, but you have to step back in line because I'm #1 Tina Turner fan.
All right, you certainly were the one who was with her and did all of these things, and I think this is a very eye-opening interview, and a lot of people will probably be quite startled and provoked by it if they have not read your book yet. But I mean, and you are spilling the tea, and some of these stories are and you get a little bit aggravated and angry at some of these key players in Tina's life. But I guess it means so much to you, and it still is a little bit hurtful the way that that things the things changed and was stopped at that time, right? And you didn't see Tina again.
Yeah, do you know something? I know this sounds really a lot of people are going to be surprised by this, but I had an opportunity. I'm not going to go into. I had an opportunity, and there were a couple occasions that I could have actually bulldozed my way into seeing Tina again. I didn't purposely. That's why I didn't go to some of the last shows and all that. I didn't want to be disappointed. I didn't want to be rejected. I have been rejected enough. I have been rejected enough for 5 lifetimes. I was so hurt and kicked to the curb. I didn't need that again. So what I still have is something nobody can take from me, and that's my memories and my good times and how much I love that woman. And for that, I stand my ground to say she is and will always be forever the best.
Nobody will come close to Tina, and that's why it's amazing to do these very personal tributes to her. And you've certainly provided me, my show here, and all of the viewers that will watch this with so much information, and it really is eye-opening. And I'd love to do a #2 with you as well and go into other interesting people you've met along the way and lots of things that happened. But please, before we end here in our remaining moments, please tell people how they can get your book and purchase it, and please hold it up again.
I want to say this first of all. Anyone who sees on Amazon or eBay my original books, please do not pay these ridiculous prices that they're asking. I don't make a dime from it, number one. Number two, I think it's ridiculous for anyone to ask for that kind of money. And it's only, as we know, on the back of Tina's passing, which pisses me off. The new book is a new book. I wrote The Real Tea originally over 20-something years ago. This today, that's why I changed the title. That's why the book has been completely updated. Lots of new pictures. And it's a lovely tribute to Tina. Lovely tribute to Tina in the new book. It took me probably a week to write it took me about a week to write the 1-page dedication I have for Tina, because I couldn't get it right. I couldn't get it right. I can't, and even I still didn't get it right. There's no words I can put into, again, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it's funny. She sang it. She sang it to us because she was, and she is the best. Simply. So my new book, my original new book is called The Real Tea and Me, Eddy Armani. You can buy it on Amazon. It's next day delivery worldwide. This book is available worldwide. You don't have to go in some dark alley or buy it off of someone from eBay. This is my book. This is my truth. This is my life with the Queen. And if you are interested, and if you read the first one, I applaud you and I thank you. But this one, after 20-something years, I had a chance to relive and go over a lot of stuff and to make some changes. And I'm very proud to say.
And I'm also very grateful that you made a dedication to me, for me in it as well. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot.
Well, do you know something? Honestly, you're more than welcome, and you really do deserve it, because of the fact that, like you said, I mean, you love Tina like I love Tina. And when I first met you, I mean, we started a friendship, and then you came to London, and I mean, you know, that memory is like it happened last week. I mean, we just had so much fun, and we drove, and then you came back, and went to and then the opening of the show and this and that. And I have so many great memories with you, and so many fond memories, and thank God we took some great pictures. I love those pictures. And I can't wait to, I can't share with everyone at the moment, but because I don't know. We haven't gone through all the legal stuff about whatever, but there is a song that Tina and I did that we're gonna update and release.
A song that we've never heard with you and Tina.
Yeah, Tina and I. That's all I can say until all the legal stuff is all sorted at the moment. But there's a song coming out, Tina and Eddy Armani together. But we still have to get all the clearances and all that stuff, which they drive you mad. But yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible news.
And you heard it
an extraordinary cliffhanger you're giving us here. Wow. When was that made? In the early 80s or?
That's all you get for now. That's all you get. And you know what? If you hadn't got enough by now, then you're going to have to wait for the rest.
Wow.
I tried to do that. I tried to do that a very Tina-like way.
Well, you are very Tina-like. That is for sure. That is for the mannerism and the whole thing. But you know what? It's been fascinating, and we have had some amazing experiences together, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon when I'm not in Denmark or you're not in England or when I'm back in England. So we can hang out again and have more fun and a lot of fun like we usually do. And this has been like hours and hours, and I'm sure this will take a lot of people by surprise, and it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of this, Eddy. I think it's been quite amazing, and I wish you well, and I hope to see you very soon. And maybe we can do a part 2. And
we will. I tell you something we can do, and you can ask all the viewers and people that you know to submit questions that they would like to ask.
That's a very good idea. Very
and
good.
Then I can answer them, and we can talk about them, and I can go into details and whatever. It ain't over yet. It's just getting started.
Happy birthday, obviously.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
And my birthday present was the best present ever. It was I had a team work with me. I had a team work with me, but I end up having to do so much more than I thought. But I just want to say to my team that helped me, thank you for your patience with me. I'm not the easiest person to work with or deal with because I'm a perfectionist, and I demand simply the best from everyone, which will go on their resume for their future stuff. But yes, I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for having me, and I want to thank all of you out there. And this is my birthday present to myself. Happy birthday, Eddy. The real T in me. Thank you, Lucas.
I want to thank you all for watching my show, The Lucas Alexander Show, and this special tribute series I'm doing remembering the Queen of Rock, Tina Turner. She will always and forever be simply the best. Please like and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications. Your support is greatly appreciated. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon.